Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the New Gods podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Worm Girl, back for the second time? Third time?
I'm not that special.
Every
What?
guest is special here. Every guest is special. So yeah, how you doing, Worm Girl?
I'm doing all right. Just been really, really busy.
Oh yeah, anything you can share with us, or?
Yeah, I found this game called The Wooden Ocean that is just this. It's like the Voynich manuscript of RPG Maker games. It's just this one guy has just been toiling in obscurity for years on this thing, and it's completely bizarre, but it's really cool, and there's a lot to it. So
Okay. And it makes like no sense.
at first, it kind of comes together, but it is really off the wall, and I'm trying to phrase it in a way that doesn't sound too that doesn't sound negative, but also doesn't sound like too like, oh my god, it's the best thing. It's just this really unique game. I can't really describe another one like it.
Wow, yeah, it's been worked on for like 4 years now, hasn't it? Or released 4 years ago, and it's still being patched.
Yeah, I suspect he's been working on it for longer than that, because it's done, I think, in RPG Maker VX Ace, which is one of the older ones, and it's got that feeling of like the game you wanted to make in high school, but if you actually made it.
That's weird.
So, yeah, but it's a huge grind to get through. So that's where I've been.
Oh, really? Are you going to do a video about
I'm
it,
really-
or just playing for fun?
Oh, I'm getting a video together.
Oh, you're in a video? Nice.
Yeah.
I have a hard time getting into RPG Maker games, honestly. I'm confused that I got so into Fear and Hunger. Because
Yeah,
I
you got
don't
into, what was the other one? Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass, too, right?
Jimmy, the one that just nail you to try and get it. But it's way too long, so don't get it. I think, wait, how many? I've been like 9 episodes right now on my YouTube channel. And they're like 4 hours long each episode, so there's a lot more to go through. I don't think it's a streamable thing, but I will try to finish it.
Yeah, the low barrier of entry to like making a game in RPG Maker means there's just so much stuff on there that is not all that interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think it kind of makes the things like Fear and Hunger or some of these other
Difficult to find?
projects really stand out much more.
But yeah, they're difficult to find to me because of that barrier. So everyone can do it, honestly. It's just how do you make it so that you tease the people into just forgetting that it's done in RPG Maker? Because a lot of people answer the question of, oh, wait, this is an RPG Maker? It's like, yes, it
Yeah.
is. What the fuck, right? That kind of initial thought just goes away usually, and I love it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's funny. Unity used to have that same issue where the name was
Everything looked like
synonymous
that.
with really bad games.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was just because that was the other thing where if you paid for a license, you didn't have to have the Unity splash screen. So the better projects wouldn't put it in your face that it was made with Unity, but all the bad ones would because they didn't pay for a license. So
Yeah, but there's so many of these games now in these kind of easier engines to use. Like Pizza Tower is done in Game Maker.
Really?
I think Undertale is also Game Maker
yeah.
and Deltarune. Yeah, and I think Pizza Tower actually kind of flexes what Game Maker's really good at, because it just moves so well. Like people are always like looking to Unity, but I mean, if you're working 2D, Game Maker's great.
Yeah, it is. Wasn't the original Risk of Rain in Game Maker as well?
That sounds right, but I haven't personally played that game, so I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah. Yeah, it's people are really quick to blame engines for bad games, but it's at worst the engine will be awkward, but it's it's not really the engine's fault if a game is janky most of the time. Like
Right.
Miro always says, don't blame RPG Maker for my bad code. He says that
Well,
multiple times.
Okay, but I think, is being too humble because RPG Maker does have some really serious bugs that they've never really worked out, and performance issues that have been there since the the early 2000s at least.
You reminded me. I found a way to stop RPG Maker from crashing. I found an item, something that you have to install. I don't remember where I put it, but I found a way for it to stop crashing. Finally. And I can actually make videos without suffering.
Oh,
I
that
don't remember what it
sounds
was.
really convenient.
Do you want it? I'll find it if you want me to.
Yeah, most of my videos are already recorded by this point, so I don't think I need it.
Gotcha. I need to find it. I don't know where I put it, but I have it, and I think it's very important because every single time I change something and I would save, it would crash. Now I
Yep.
fixed it, thankfully. Yep.
With the
there it
actual
is.
engine itself, and not like playing a game,
Yep.
like using the engine.
No. The game is fine.
The editor.
Oh.
The editor has like
yeah,
a 70% chance of crashing when you hit save,
It's the
and
worst.
depending on what you changed, it won't get saved.
Mhm,
Oh no.
mhm.
What the hell?
Yes.
That's crazy.
I have it somewhere. Where did I put it? Where did I have to find it?
I had a pretty funny bug when I was a kid. I had an older edition of RPG Maker, and I was editing something, and I had an MP3 playing in the engine, and it crashed. And when I reopened the program, there was like really loud white noise coming out of the speakers at all times whenever the program was open. And I cannot
Huh.
tell you how much I tried to fix this. I uninstalled the program, I deleted the registry keys, I got new drivers, I got new speakers, and reinstall, and the constant nonstop really loud white noise is back, and that's why I never made an RPG Maker game.
What the hell?
Gee. There you go, by the way. I found it. I put it in speedrun.com. I might make a video about it somewhere. Who knows?
I like it
Put
when
it
a
in
program
where?
shows you new kinds of bugs that you didn't know could even exist.
Well, the bug of crashing was because the program was capped at 32 bits, but if you're running a 64-bit,
Oh yeah.
then it couldn't exceed the 2 gigabytes of RAM. And when it
Mhm.
would exceed it, it would crash. So you needed to make a program to attach it so that the memory could exceed the 2 gigabytes and it would detect itself as 64.
Sorry, the two
Sorry.
exceed two what?
2 gigabytes, as well as it was programmed for
Sorry, can you say that again?
32
I missed it.
bytes. I'm gonna find you. Wow, what do you mean?
So no, I just missed it. Can you say it again, please?
Gigabytes?
Continue. I just wanted to clarify that. 2 gigabytes.
What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? Let's go.
That's the problem. He said 2 gigabytes.
You want to say gigabytes? Is that what you mean?
It is gigabyte.
Well, I'm from Argentina. People say gigabytes here. Sorry.
The whole country is wrong then. Just straight up.
Hey, say a word. Let's say a man, for example. Say it.
Man?
See?
What's wrong with that?
I don't know.
People always give me shit for how I pronounce Termina or Termina, and I switch back and forth just
Termina?
to annoy people now.
I like it. I like that one.
You
Yeah,
should add in
everyone
more
here says
wrong
gigabyte.
pronunciations into your repertoire, like Termina.
Termite. Oh, rico. Termina.
Yeah, I love my favorite characters, Levi and Karin.
I love that one. That hurts.
Oh yeah, what was it that you wanted to talk about, Raccoon?
So I was gifted Persona 3 Reload on Steam. I was playing it. And I don't know why I was like, you know what? I don't really like the songs that are playing, so I'm gonna try to mod it. And there should be like, usually the community of games goes really fast with modding. So I was okay. Let's look up a song editor for Persona 3 Reload, and there was one that changes everything to the normal soundtrack of the game. I was like, okay, let me install it. So I go ahead, I click download, and I check the instructions, and it says in the instructions, we have no instructions. You have to look up these 2 programs and do it yourself. And I was like, what? And I the feeling of just complete anger that pushed out of my body to be like, you're making a guide. You're telling me to look up on how to install 2 programs that you're, 1, not giving the links for me to install, and 2, I don't know how to freaking install them or
That's
set them
hilarious,
up.
though.
It's like, you do it yourself, pretty much, it said. And I am angry. It pushed away every single interest in me in modding the game. There's no more modding for me on this game. I'm playing the normal version. Straight up. I can't. I just can't. Have you ever went through a guide like that? Be like, just do it yourself, whatever.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Skyrim
Yeah.
modding for a while used to do that, where it's like, yeah, if you have these mods, you need to merge them together yourself. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. Go use this program and do it.
I do
That's
I do a
so
lot of
weird.
programming, and you'll come across a lot of stuff with like compilers that's like that. It's obnoxious. Especially in C++, everybody assumes that you know that you like have a computer science degree.
Yeah, it's great.
Hell,
Okay,
back in the
sure.
early days of Dark Souls 2 modding, I was cracking open a memory editor and just looking at the bytes and screwing with them manually to get some stuff working.
That's like when I was a kid, we would put random Game Shark codes into games, and in older games, they were so simple, code wise, that would often cause something to happen.
Because that was the Game Shark was basically like a hex editor or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then especially the Game Genie on like the Nintendo and Sega Genesis, and I think Super Nintendo had one.
Yeah.
And it would you could just freely edit like the memory basically, and sometimes you could get really funny stuff to happen.
That's really cool. I wish more games did that. Well, I guess you can now with you can just do that openly with what's it called? Cheat Engine. You just do that.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
Pretty much,
they've
yeah.
got corruptions. If you've seen those on YouTube, like Vinesauce does a lot of those. They're really funny.
What's the corruption?
So corruptions are, it's basically a more complex version of that can sometimes happen in real time, and they'll just really make the game go completely off the rails and become ridiculous, and unexpected things happen. And
So they like edit those values, and they don't know what's going to happen, and they just play the game with it all edited.
yeah, or sometimes they'll have people who have before the stream, they'll have found like some particularly funny ones, some funny edits to make, and they'll show off those.
Okay. That does sound pretty cool. Could you do that with Fear and Hunger, or would the game just break into a million pieces instantly if you tried that?
I gotta be honest. The game feels a little bit like a House of Cards when you're playing it already.
Changing one value just makes everything disappear. It's like, what's Levi? I don't know. You get stuck in the code.
It does. It really does. I think if you're gonna do something like that, you just have to expect that you're probably not gonna be able to finish this game. Just go and just go. Okay, we're gonna stop at some point and just be locked, soft locked.
That's the problem with modding. Usually, for me, most games have a really hard time with modding because you mod one thing and it's like it's working, it works, but it broke something like far into the stick. Like at the end of the game, there's something broken, and you don't know until you get to it. It's like, oh, my game, it's dead. I need to start from the beginning.
That's
why
what
I
coding
hate
is like in
modding.
general.
Yeah, I really like, though I'm gonna just compliment the fact that Little Company has one of the best modding communities ever. There's a lot of mods, and almost every single one of them work really well, to be honest.
Yeah, that's because it's on Unity, right? And Unity is
Is that
somehow
why?
really good for modding, and I don't really understand how.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job. I want to learn modding, to be honest, and just dumb mods.
Because actually, Risk of Rain 2 was similar. That was on Unity, and that was really easy to mod, where really quickly you had people modding entire characters into the game like a couple of months after it came out, which is just unheard of. And that's with mods unofficially, not even officially supported at that point.
I had a solid idea for a Fear and Hunger mod that I think probably wouldn't be too hard to put together.
Oh, yeah?
Sure.
You would just make the doppelgangers be recruitable and give them like really weird stats and like weird versions of the moves that the base character has, and you maybe recruit them by giving them a contestant head that matches the person they're trying to be, and you could have some really bizarro runs of the game.
That would be pretty cool.
Or plain as the doppelganger.
Oh man, be able to get an Olivia without that stupid wheelchair. That'd be such a nice upgrade.
That would, yeah. Just
Well,
run.
she might have some actually useful skills when you recruit her too.
Right?
Photosynthesis.
True.
Doesn't that only work outside during the day? So it's like utterly useless.
Yeah, and I would have to double check, but I seem to recall that it doesn't work if she's in your party. Like, it only works if it's on the main character.
Really?
Yeah, that scans with my experiences. I never saw her HP go up ever.
Now you mention it, yeah. What the hell?
I don't know. I have not used it. I've seen it in my 550 hours. I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. Nope. Not even as like checking out. Nope. No, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, give it poison tip instead.
As Olivia, so I don't know too much.
Oh, poison tip would be so good,
Or just give her like a custom version of synthesis that says that she loses HP when she's not in sunlight, but has the same effect as regular photosynthesis of none.
You know what would be nice, but I like broken, like absolutely broken? Giving the poison tip to the ally Olivia, of course, but also making poison tip able to be applied to allies as well.
That would be really nice.
Yeah,
that would be nice. That will be really nice.
Could that be broken?
It will be broken, but then again, it's Miro, so right?
Yeah.
Also, it's Olivia. She's already broken.
She's already.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. You can't exactly make her stronger. Really, won't make much difference.
The best character.
Yeah, she's great. She's honestly my favorite playable character. I just like her a lot, and she's cute as well, which helps. So.
Yeah. I love how some of those characters really do change the core gameplay so much. Like, people complain about Levi's heroin addiction, but that's the most interesting thing about him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I wish
getting into like a boss rush where random battles are to be avoided at all costs.
Yeah, exactly. I wish all the characters had something weird like that about them. Even the purely positive ones like Marco, like how Marco's base attack is just straight up better than everybody else. I would just like if
they could have made him.
So the way it is for me, right? Marco, Perfect Guard completely destroys the character, making them able to never be able to just block coin flips. You can never block coin flips with Marco when that happens. So I personally think that Marco gets a nerf when that happens. Yeah. If you learn Perfect Guard, your coin flips are gone. You cannot block a coin flip ever again.
Oh, that'd be interesting because what's technically happening when you block a coin flip is your character is moving out of the way. So having Perfect Guard means that Marco just wants to tank it, which actually kind of fits.
I guess so. That's what I'm thinking, but man, does it feel like a glitch when there's something very massive that's gonna be happening that
Oh, it is a glitch. It is a glitch, but we could make it work.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah, we can think about
all
we can learn from Jones on that one. It's not a glitch, it's a feature. Yeah.
My Marco fix would just be to prevent him from equipping any weapon.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess so, yeah. Marina, in my opinion, the glitch that you have with Marina is having minions. Necromancy has a 50-50% like chance of working with a build. Usually, you have to be really good with Necromancy to make it work. So there's that on that one. Dan, I don't know what Dan has. I'm guessing he's weak in a fight, but he's really good utility wise.
Lower his
He
accuracy,
shouldn't
so
be able to.
there's some reason to use accuracy buffs. He's missing an eye.
He should be forced because he has only one eye. That would be the glitch that we can add him. to
I
be
also
honest.
think he shouldn't get two-handed weapons.
How come?
Look at him.
Mm,
He's like a little. He's like a little nerd boy.
I guess.
He was a soldier though.
He was a medic.
Well, no, he can
And?
choose.
You
He
can
can
make
choose
him a
between medic and
soldier,
regular soldier.
Yeah.
That's true, but I mean, let him use the guns, but
That's it.
it's not like they're using. It's not like they're using meat grinders in the army.
No,
That's
but
true.
medics are, flipping dudes on their backs and are running the heck out of there.
Sure, but also he's missing like half his organs and a bunch of his body. So
Oh right, he did start slicing
Well, that
and
makes
dicing
sense. Yeah.
for the ritual. I can buy that. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't think
else?
losing
Carry?
two-handed weapons would necessarily be appropriate for that. Like, I know a guy who was in the army and missing about half his organs because he got stabbed like 14 times in the stomach. But,
Is he alive?
yeah, no, he's fine.
did he get
Okay.
stabbed in battle, or was that separate?
Oh, no, that was some drug stuff.
Okay, because I was like,
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
know they were doing melee combat in the army.
They had 1v1. Yes, here you go.
Well, you'd be pleasantly surprised actually. Then. It is worth noting that Dan's injuries are very recent. It was only like a couple of days before.
Hmm.
Actually, yeah, that fits into maybe not being able to.
and they won't heal
two-handed.
properly because it was a ritual sacrifice. So Sylvian won't heal it.
That will
properly.
nerf Meat Grinder really well. I think. I think
Or-
that would
I'd
be
say
good.
just, make him more frail in terms of defense, not so much ability to lift things.
Well, I was just thinking
Well,
that maybe
the
his
only thing I can
maximum
think
health
of
is
is just
lower.
vision. I would say vision. Like you're forced to find glasses, or like there's a static place where you find glasses. Well, there actually is, but kind of closer than what it is where you find it.
Or make him start with one arm.
Hmm.
He can get it back.
Yeah.
Oh, with Sylvian. Oh.
Or
Okay.
no, you'd have to justify that because if he took it off for the sulfur ritual, then he won't get it back from Sylvian.
Okay, he lost it in a different way.
He was trying something else.
There was
he
a
just lost it.
separate
What if he doesn't
tragedy.
regrow it? What is the only one that actually goes through, forced into the tutorial, and he cannot grow it because the tutorial just forgot to give it back? That's a good stuff.
He lost it during the
Karen
war. There you
shoots
go.
Yeah, no, Karen shoots his arm off in the argument they have in the beginning.
Yeah. Oh.
That's why she just leaves. She runs away. Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Speaking of Karen, what glitch can we think of Karen right now? Or like shitty scenario, I guess. I'm guessing Karen is just bad in Massimo. That's also all I can think of. Just the worst character in Massimo.
Is she?
She's
That's
not really
it.
the worst though. She has the
No, in
The
Massimo.
ability
In normal,
to-
she's amazing.
yeah, but in Masso mode, can't she disable the bobbies on turn 1? And that's like one of the hardest things about Masso mode.
So what happens with Bobby is that she talks in like turn 1. She disarms them. They don't move their head. They're gonna hit you
Mm.
3 times, and that's the part of Massimo mode that is really hard for Karen.
Hmm.
If she got an ally, then yes, she would be really.
If you
good
get
for them.
diplomacy,
But
you can turn
You can
turn
shoot
zero.
their
it.
arms off before you get
Yeah,
into
but-
the fight.
No, you cannot shoot the arms off.
Really?
They regrow. Yeah, they regrow.
Yeah, I never
doesn't
bothered
really
with
do
the
much, does it?
rifle except in the like dealing with the priests early on.
Rifle, you can shoot a Bobby 3 times and they die, thankfully, or
Oh.
2 shotgun shots and they die. So there's that at least. Diplomacy, yes, but any character that gets to the Hexen is usually just a character that works in the game now.
Yeah.
So I'm more talking about like an early game where they can actually use their skills.
Oh, right.
Levi with a
Masso
shotgun
mode,
early game is
yeah.
just broken. Yeah, Massimo.
And she can't start
Yeah.
with lockpicking, can she?
She no, she doesn't,
can't,
which
yeah.
is crazy.
Which is just
Very,
the
very
weirdest.
crazy,
Marco
honestly.
starts
I
with
don't get
lockpicking,
it.
making him even
I
stronger.
don't get it. I
Marco's
don't get it.
stolen.
Why is
So
Karen so weak?
there is an explanation for learning things that are not on your hexen, because in the first game there's a little book next to the hexen table that says that you're inheriting skills from the new god that shares your soul when you use the hexen table. But I think it implies that if you just train the normal way, you could still learn whatever you wanted to. So like Marco learns lockpicking because he spends years practicing it, but he couldn't do that. He couldn't just spend souls to get it at the table.
Yeah. People really struggle with this because I talk about souls and skills a lot because I think they're really interesting, and I love getting in arguments about the tainted domination soul theory. But yeah, people always get stuck on that. It's like, no, you can, like, the souls are basically what you just are naturally drawn to in life, outside of, you know, using soul stones to level up. Like if you have a certain soul, you're naturally drawn to that in life, and you probably learn it faster outside of the festival and what have you. But that doesn't prevent you from learning other things. You know, because
I think because the delineation between what is a game mechanic and what is, you know, actually happening is a little bit fuzzy.
Very fuzzy.
People tend to kind of draw arbitrary boundaries and get a little frustrated when things do or don't go over them.
Yeah.
All game mechanics are canon.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Especially the
Ragnvaldur
debug
is
tiles.
in Fear and Hunger 2.
Yeah.
I think I
100%
forgot a character too.
Yeah, everyone knows
Also-
Ragnvald is in Fear and Hunger 2. He's called August.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I was gonna say.
I always say that.
There's a bug where is it Ragnvald or Enki where you get the face parasite on somebody, and there's a glitch you can do where their portrait in the menu turns into one of the Fear and Hunger 1 characters. I think it's Ragnvald.
Huh.
What?
I've never actually gotten the parasite
What?
in gameplay because I'm not.
What is the face parasite in the first game?
No, it's in the second game.
Wait, how do you put Ragnvald or Enki in the second game?
It's
So
it's in the files. Like their portraits in
Yeah,
the files.
so I forget exactly how to do it.
gotcha.
It's just because the face is in the files as like a placeholder somewhere, and there's a glitch you can do with the face parasite where you get somebody to get it on them, and then you retreat from combat, and through some combination of messing around with the character, you can get their status portrait to appear as, I think, Ragnvald.
Just that? How we like the actual character?
And it's just Ragnvald
like
or
it.
jump scare. He's just there.
Or you almost said that Marina from the church jump scare.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She just shows up in your party.
There's another jump scare with her. Sometimes,
There has to be.
for some reason, Marina will sometimes get set as the player character as well. And
Mhm.
that means she shows up in certain situations where she shouldn't. Like on some elevators, she'll also show up standing next to you. If this triggers. It's somewhere in the church that
I've
triggers
seen
it.
that. Yeah, I've seen that. That's what Samari's playthrough needs to be. It just needs to be Marina everywhere mode.
That'd be great.
Marina mode. Decided to the title instead of dungeon. What was it called? The mini game from Fear and Hunger 1?
No, Dungeon
Dungeon
Knights.
Knights. Yeah, Marina mode. Straight up.
But yeah, there's some conversations that won't trigger properly then if you use party talk. And I did a 5-hour long playthrough to recruit it was Levi and Marina in the same party, and to get to a certain location in endgame. And there was a specific conversation I wanted from them. And she wouldn't do it because of this bug. She was tagged as a player character, so she wouldn't speak in party talk. And I was like, I was spewing.
There is a mall. I don't know where that forces the main character to act like an NPC. It's pretty good for party talk.
Actually sounds
I
pretty
don't know what
useful.
it's called. What do I know?
I kind of wish that had been in from the beginning, because it does feel like unless you're playing as Marina or Levi, it does feel a little bit like you're getting less of the character if you play as them.
So to me, I have a theory, a game theory, that I feel like once you pick a character in the story, the character just completely forgets everything what was
Mhm.
going on because they're currently possessed as the game player,
Mhm.
the one who's
Well,
controlling
yeah,
them.
they do get the chains on them, right?
Yes, and
Mm.
they are not able to do anything. They're just a puppet. You're just not playing as that. You're playing as yourself of what you would do in that situation. Then just dies. And they come back to being their normal self at the end of the game. That's why you see Marina with Samurai at the end photo, smiling because she doesn't remember everything that went through. You can give it an explanation, but she just slipped through it all.
So you're telling me that the player is Sulfur?
I don't know about that one, Chief. I have no idea on the lore on that one.
I mean,
I
it
just
would
know.
explain why the character suddenly just murders everyone.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Oh.
saying. Like, if you're
Oh.
playing a character that is actually your character you're playing, they would go against what you're saying. Kind of like Undertale stuff that they're like, I don't wanna, right?
Okay.
But
Mhm.
no, they don't have a say on this. You've killed someone, you're gonna kill them.
Okay, so
'Cause it's
canonically
you,
the
not the
player is
character.
Sulfur, right? You, the person playing, is Sulfur. Because when you select the character, the chains come down, right? What happens when you kill Percolate? The chains snap.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
It's all coming together.
Well, so
Yeah.
it makes I've always wondered like what so yeah, we're told that dead gods are coming back to life, which I take to mean Rancid says that. He could be referring to like Venushka talking about like the energy being repurposed for logic, but I've always taken that to mean um the tormented one because he's just, he's summonable at the circle, which none of the other new gods are. And I've heard people say like, "Oh, well, he doesn't actually die when you kill him in the first game." But I'm not so sure about that because you get his soul.
Mm.
But that thing with the chains with Protocola has always bothered me because it's like, is he controlling the moon? Is he just using the chains to steal power from the moon? Is he somehow connected to the character that you're playing as because the chains are there in the beginning? Like, it's such an intentional thing that it's got to be something.
Mm.
And that's one where people are like, "Oh, I think it's just chains," and it's like, well, why
It's
would
not-
there just be chains? Like,
I hate it when you're discussing
It's
it and
just
they're just
chains.
like, oh, Mira just wanted to put something funny in.
No, it's just
No, have you played these games?
you could
Sorry,
say
but
anything,
stupid
just
visual stuff
chase.
like that,
Come on.
that's never canon and it's never lore. The only lore that matters is gameplay, especially the bugs.
It's like any
but it is
other.
gameplay. There's a spell. It's the Chains of Torment, and you can learn the
Yeah,
spell.
Chains of
from-
Torment is canon. The weird chains that show up when you select a character aren't. Those are just a visual thing.
Also, people have been like, "Oh, I think those aren't the Chains of Torment. They're just chains." And it's like, what do you mean they're just chains?
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
chains of Torment are spiked. I don't remember those chains being spiked.
I think that's just a chain with like a hook on the end, right?
It has the same graphic as the throwing knife at the very tip of it.
Mm-hmm. They're pretty much directly pulled from Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Oh, I meant the spell.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring. The spell I'm referring to is pretty much directly pulled from Hellraiser.
Okay.
The Cenobites use those to trap people and attack them and rip their skin off.
That's got to be one of my favorite opening scenes of all horror movies. Is the start of Hellraiser 1. It's a perfect scene.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That and Cube.
that happens in the movie Cube.
Have you seen Cube?
I haven't. It's been on my watch list for like. It's been out for like 20 years.
The movie begins
Cube.
with a guy being cut into cubes by a bunch of little wires, and they stole the visual for the first Resident Evil movie, but they did
I
it
was
in
gonna say.
CG, where it was a practical effect in Cube.
They actually
And
cut
it
a guy up in Cube?
Yeah, he's dead.
What the hell?
No, he was like the director or something, and they made this prop of his head that was just like cut into cubes, And after the movie was done, they just gave it to him, and he was like, "I just had it sitting on top of my fridge for like a year." People would come over and just stare at it.
Oh, that's
amazing.
great.
It's wild how much worse it looks in CG in a much more expensive movie.
Really? CG was pretty shit back then, so. I mean,
I would say it's not that great now.
yeah, I was about to say, it's like, yeah, they often fail now. You know, you can get good ones, but they're more rare than anything.
Mhm. I think it's more that it just makes them take swings that they shouldn't be taking visually. And I blame completely Lord of the Rings for this.
Why Lord
Not
of
the
the Rings?
prequels?
Hmm?
Not the what? Sorry,
Not the prequel trilogy?
like the Star Wars.
Yeah.
That was bad too. That was really excessive. But a lot of that is actually practical effects. Like the audience in the pod races, they're little painted Q-tips, and there's just like a little bit of CG on top of it to make it look good.
What the hell?
Yeah,
What?
there's still a lot of models and practical effects in those movies. I don't like them, but gotta respect that.
No, those movies have been rehabilitated now, so you're allowed to say you like them now. The
Oh, is this
prequels.
Waypoint?
Oh yeah, that's right. The new Disney ones are so terrible that the prequels look okay by comparison.
It's the Sonic cycle, but it's secretly applied to literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get over that Disney made a series about space wizards with laser swords having incest in space boring, and made it so
Wait.
people don't want to watch any of it.
What are you talking about?
Star Wars.
No way, there's insane hours.
What?
There's
Is there?
Luke and Leia kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they brothers?
Have you
They're
not
brother
seen
and
these
sister.
movies?
Yeah, they're twins.
I didn't know that.
Have you not seen them?
And you know Darth Vader, the guy
Yeah.
in all black.
No,
That's
don't spoil
Luke's
it for him.
dad.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Don't
is
do
it?
it. Don't spoil it.
you found the single person on the planet who didn't know that spoiler, and then you ruined it for him.
I don't
Wow.
know. I haven't heard it yet. Someone spoke over.
Okay, after
Oh,
this,
God,
go
no.
and watch the
He didn't-
entire
He didn't
original
hear it.
trilogy.
He didn't hear it. That's so funny. So
Go and watch the
funny.
entire original
Okay.
trilogy before next week, okay?
I remember it being good, but I will try.
The
watch
the original trilogy is a great time. It's
Yeah,
it's not even like I don't like the franchise really. They're just good movies. Like they're just well made.
Mm.
They're exciting. They're fast paced. Yeah, it's just good entertainment.
All right, I'll try.
All right.
Oh, speaking of which, I want to get into someday. I want to get into fucking what is it called? One thing is Star Trek. I don't know what it is like, but the other one is Doctor Who. That one
oh.
is I'm really interested in getting into.
Oh, man, you were just picking all the worst fandoms, aren't you?
Why? Is it too long because of that?
It's British.
Oh,
my personal take
So
about
what's it?
Star Trek is that it's way too long and just not interesting these days. It's very dated,
oh.
and the movies aren't very good.
Hmm.
I would say don't bother with
There's-
that. Doctor Who,
there's
I
quite
think
a-
probably holds up a bit.
I would say the opposite. I would say there's quite a lot of good Star Trek. There's a lot of bad Star Trek, but I think you can pretty much just watch like The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, and they're still good. There's bad episodes, but you just kind of ignore them.
Okay. Because I'm getting into new media every now and then. Like I recently got into reading the whole comic of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and I liked it a lot, to be honest. So I kind of want to try into another thing like this that is like old.
Well, Star Trek had a resurgence in popularity around 2020 because people really wanted to escape into a fantasy world where the people in charge had any idea what they were doing. And like society was run by competent people who had the skills and discipline to, you know, kind of hold it all together.
Definitely sci-fi. You know, it's hard
Yeah,
to hard to
absolutely.
connect with that, but you know, that's why the show goes so well, right? Complete fantasy world. So
What if they are competent and just have an entirely different set of priorities than you?
That actually might be the case.
That's an info hazard, Bones. We're not the info hazard show.
sorry. I'll keep the uncomfortable truths to a minimum.
It's like one of Matt Pat's latest videos. He's like, yeah, Disney and Hollywood are their propaganda and they promote certain ideas, like promoting AI. And it's like, Matt Pat, that's a very dangerous thing to say. You can't say that. And I think
You
he
can't
left
say
it.
the truth.
I think
That's
he left it for his
illegal.
victory lap because he's going in like a month, so they can't kill him. Yeah. So why did you pick Doctor Who and Star Trek?
Star Trek mostly because of I don't know what it is like, but it kind of connects in a way with Doctor Who in that it is something old that could be amazing. Because one of the things that actually interested me a lot in Doctor Who was like, why is he called Doctor Who and who the freak is Doctor Who? I looked up who is Doctor Who, and I see one character here and I see another character here and I see a video with like 7 characters that are like all Doctor Who. I was like, what the fuck? What's going on? And it seems like the character changes each season. Like the actor who portrays Doctor Who absolutely changes, but the knowledge that the character has is always the same, which is amazing. I love that.
Mm.
And then next week was Star Trek, so I was like, wait a second, could be like, interesting. But then I
Little
found
bit
out that it starts like really, really, really old into my timeline where I existed, so I'm kind of scared on that one. And a friend of mine said, "Oh, there's a lot of episodes that are like lost from the media." It's like, "Oh, really?" Yeah.
Lost Star Trek episodes or Doctor Who?
No, lost Doctor Who. All Doctor Who that are lost, completely lost. They're never to be seen.
Oh, because they were super old, weren't they?
Yeah.
When did it start?
And they were like only
the
airing in
50s?
England for a long time. And
Yeah.
But I love that. It sounds so good, but it's daunting as fuck.
They used to play really old episodes of Doctor Who on TV, here in Australia, like after school, and I'd watch them sometimes. They were complete junk. The new seasons that started in like the 2000s with Christopher Eccleston were completely different vibe, actual competent writers and budgets,
yeah,
and they're really good.
a lot of people don't like Eccleston's performance in that, but I
Really?
thought he was great. I thought he was really funny.
Yeah, he was great. I do think that Tennant was better. I think he was the GOAT. But Eccleston was
for sure.
was fantastic. I never really watched after Tenet. I sort of got bored with it when they brought out, what was his name?
He was just like a younger Tenant.
Yeah, it was like Matt Smith or something, like the most generic name ever.
Yeah.
People
He's
really liked
good.
him. I couldn't click with him. So
He's perfectly
I like
fine.
how he looks. I like the two of them. I like the two of them a lot. But I don't know
And,
how they act. I have no idea.
I think Peter Capaldi has a good look, but I've never watched those seasons, and I've heard very ungood things about the writing.
yeah, he does.
They
look
all
like a good
look
doctor,
so
doesn't he?
different. I love it so much. It's just so much mystery in just having a different character that just remembers stuff that others just don't.
Mm.
I don't know. I love that premise.
I like it because the anytime in a show or a movie where the solution is just to like shoot the guy, you've kind of like run out of ideas or like the stories at its end. But that it has that in common with Star Trek, where they started out as lower budget shows, and so they realized that their action set pieces wouldn't be as good as just like talking and thinking their way through problems, and then that becomes far more engaging than just laser beams.
Speaking
or
of
whatever.
that reminds me of one show that I watched also recently, which was The Boys, which it's not usually just fighting; it's actually learning how to deal with the superheroes that you're trying to deal with.
Yeah,
I'm literally
love it.
Homelander. Homelander, that's literally me. Yeah. Just like me.
I'm trying to think of specific examples of things that he did that I can say without it being nearby on air, but it's really that one time where he. No, I can't say that. Where he lasered that crowd in his
Bro,
eyes.
I
literally
brought
did
up
that.
demonophobia last time. Just go nuts.
I don't
That's
see. I
true.
don't want to. I don't want to descend to the depths of depravity like you and Apollo do. So I don't want to.
I'm better than you.
No, that show's great. It's absolutely insane.
Real
I love
Batman
that
and
so
Joker
much.
moment.
I love the change from the comic to like having them have all superpowers to just. I'm gonna go with this spoiler, and I'm just gonna say spoiler first before anyone just listens to this part. In the show, the characters don't have special powers up until season 3, I believe,
hmm
where they're giving Compound V, which is something that gives them a power up for a limited amount of time. That is said to be a thing that will do something bad to them as the show progresses. We haven't seen anything wrong with the characters yet, but I love it that they are just through like those 2 seasons without any power ups, and just them fixing on like how to power up against the actual superheroes, and I love that so much. It's such a
Yeah.
good change.
I mean, they did that in the comic too. They got those temporary powers to fight.
No. In the comic, they already have it forever.
No,
yeah, Huey starts out without any powers, and they have to operate around the fact that for the most part they're not as strong as the superheroes, but they do have powers. Butcher is Huey eventually gets powers, and Butcher is powered up from the
Oh,
beginning.
okay,
Oh, okay.
okay. I gotcha.
But
But the other ones already have powers
Hmm.
from the beginning in
Yeah.
the comic.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I
No, but
do
but
I love.
it is
Mhm.
this is how-
the show is just more thoughtful overall.
Mm.
Yeah, I love that so much, and how
But it's also-
Mother's Milk is just against the powers, like
Mhm.
completely against it.
And
It's also the show is talking about people are like, oh, the show's so much better because it's not as edgy, and that's true. But they're also responding to different eras in time. The comic book is about like the Bush administration. It's about like the neocons kind of co-opting the government to run this war for profit in in the Middle East, and so the superheroes are standing in as like a metaphor for like corporate power reaching into government and fighting wars that are for profit, whereas
I'm really glad
the
we
show
stopped that.
is
By the
much-
way, we don't do that anymore. Like wars for profit
Yeah.
with the corporations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with
it's
their
like
tendrils
super
all through.
weird that they only invented wars for profit, like in that era. It's crazy how nobody came up with that in the past, like entire history of humanity. How no other wars are for profit,
Uh-huh.
and like,
Yeah.
it's only those,
yeah,
We
and
solved
not
that.
Not
like all
even-
wars ever.
we're not even using oil anymore. Everything's green.
Yeah, yeah,
So
it's great.
we're good. But the show is responding to a different era and like different groups of people and like a different political climate, and so
And even just different
taking its different
superheroes too. Like superhero media is completely different now
Yes.
than it was when it was
Yeah,
like even 10 years
superheroes-
ago. It was completely different.
remember when superheroes used to fight crime?
Yeah, yeah. When was the last time you saw a superhero take down a street thug?
Oh man, I miss when I saw that as
Just
a
like-
kid.
Like Spider-Man used to constantly be dealing with bank robberies. Where'd
Yeah.
that go? Now like Superman is like Jesus for soldiers.
Well, nowadays we realize that people don't so much rob banks as much as banks rob people.
True.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I am worried they're going to do that thing that media tends to do when they realize that people like their villain too much. And they try and make him worse, and then people just like him more. And so they just keep
have
trying to make him worse.
spec- They've specifically said that they don't want Homelander to be somebody that the audience can identify with, and they have picked up on the fact that people are doing it anyway.
Oh, they're doing
And-
such a good job on that one. I hate Homelander so much. I hate him.
He's a great character. He's really fun to
Yes.
watch. The actor does an incredible job being deeply unsettling all the
Yeah.
time. Just and if you've ever like worked with somebody like not somebody with superpowers, but somebody who was just on like somebody who had like a position of authority and they were just on edge all the time and put everybody else on edge, it's a great portrait of that.
Yeah, the
Hmm.
feeling is pushed into me at all times. I hate seeing it, but I love it because I love the character so
Yeah.
much. And
And
they're
that was
gonna show up
also-
in Gen Z, I think it's called, right? The show. Is it Gen Z?
Oh, that spin-off.
There's a show that it's like, there's a
Yeah.
spin-off where we're gonna have, I think, Homelander in there. I don't know
think
the
he's a
name
main
exactly.
character. I think he just shows up sometimes.
No,
It's
he just
about
shows
those
up. Yeah,
kids.
the main character are like new kids
Yeah.
that show up.
I've also been really enjoying Invincible. If we want to talk
Gen
about
V.
superheroes.
Sorry, Gen V.
I didn't mind the first season.
Invincible. I have
His
to watch
girlfriend
that
was
at some point.
so annoying.
She gets better. She's better in the second season.
Oh, okay,
I
that's
think
good.
I know nothing of that one.
Yeah, I think they
Oh,
realized they went a little too far
Yeah.
with because her reaction was to some degree was reasonable, but then it's like it just gets really excessive, and I think they realize like, okay, no, we need to not basically commit character assassination against this character that we're
Yeah.
trying to pass off as a normal person.
Yeah. It's like, okay, so you live in a world where you know superheroes exist. You know that they're saving millions of people, if not the entire world. And then you find out, spoilers, Raccoon. And then you
No,
find out that your
don't get
boyfriend is a superhero. And then your immediate reaction is to, well, you know, you should have told me. It's like, well, no, you know you can die from this. You know if he has villains, they will kill you for this. You know that. It's not an unknown thing. Of course he's going to keep it a secret when you're just dating.
Woman moment.
It was just really bad. I had to stop at that moment. I'm like, oh, man, I really like the show, and I hope they don't double down on it.
No, they pull back, and she's much more likable in the second
Oh,
season.
that's good. Yeah. Other than that,
Oh, so
I
they
really
write her
enjoyed it.
less realistically then.
Other than that, I actually really enjoyed it, so I'm glad. I was on the edge about watching it because, yeah, sometimes they double down on that sort of stuff, and I was like, I don't know. And it really annoyed me when they did the whole thing. Would that guy clone the other guy? And they were just fine with it, and they're like, no, stop being a jerk, he's allowed to clone you. It's like, what? No, that's his body. What the hell are you doing? Like, that's the one thing that, you know, you have complete sovereignty over is your body, and they're like, no, he can just take it. Oh, okay.
Should have copyrighted his DNA.
He should have,
Yeah.
yeah.
It is a huge violation, and that's that kind of stuff. Kirkman's always really good with that stuff. I think I think on his own he sometimes goes off into the weeds a little bit. I don't know if you followed Walking Dead at all, but
No.
No, are the spoilers come by the way? I'm just curious.
no, there's no spoilers. It's just
Okay, gotcha.
it goes from being a really good zombie story to just being a really
No. I'm talking
Bizarre
about
story.
Invincible. Sorry.
oh no I wasn't gonna spoil any Invincible stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think we're done with that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about Walking Dead. I
Yeah,
only played
spoilers.
the game on.
John Invincible has a weakness.
Is that his name?
What is his name?
His name. I know it.
His name is Mark.
Mark.
Mark
Can't remember his
Invincible, okay.
Mm.
That sounds more like it. John Invincible. I don't know why I really left. But yeah, I only played the game where you play as this one guy who's getting taken to prison, and then like the car where they're driving like crashes or whatever, and they
Oh,
he has to like
that Telltale one.
who's this guy? Who's this
Silent
guy?
Hill
I forgot the
Downpour?
name. No,
No,
the
the
Walking
Telltale
Dead game
Walking
for
Dead,
the
yeah.
Telltale one, yeah.
That
And
was
then
an
he
Ah.
has to
Xbox
take
game,
care of
wasn't
this
it?
one girl.
Yeah, the Telltale Walking Dead game is the best zombie game, and then it's the worst
love
zombie
it.
game, and then it's the best zombie game again, and then it's the
What?
the worst one. Then I think it was the best one again at the end.
I love the season one. I loved it a lot, to be honest. I loved it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
beautiful.
season one is such a great story, and it
Mhm.
it holds up still. I think.
More likely.
Man, Telltale had an iron grasp on it, on story games for a while there. Whatever happened to them? That just vanished.
They ran out of money, and
it?
in the middle of a project,
How?
and I think they passed it off to another company, and they've recently made a comeback. They're making the show for not Foundation, The Expanse. They're making a series about The Expanse.
Wait,
And
a
it's
TV show or a game?
they're making a game about the TV show The Expanse, which
Oh,
is
okay.
also a book. The Expanse is very good. I highly recommend it. It's really cool. It's hard sci-fi with just some really interesting. It's like, what would a society that lived in space actually be like? And it's just like
Oh, you
local
said
solar
space.
system. They
You
just
lost me with
lived in
space. I'm sorry.
like Earth, Mars, and then some of the moons that are around.
I don't know why I have such a hard time with space games. I don't know why.
I mean, if you really think about it, all society is a society in space if you model planets as a spaceship.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I
so
could
true.
say something that would spook people. I could say that your hand looks like a spider. People who like have a hard time looking at spiders are like, oh my god, you know.
No.
There's a skeleton in you right now.
Ah.
Oh my god.
It's just dying to get out.
Jones
what?
sleeps with you.
You know what game we need? We need an Event Horizon game. That's what we need. In fact, make Fear and Hunger 3 just Event Horizon.
So, have any of you played the Chizo Mythos? They're games by Yahtzee Croshaw. They are.
Oh yeah.
Was it 5 Days a Stranger, 6 Days of Sacrifice? Yeah, those ones.
Which one was in the hotel? The 7 days or whatever?
That's Trilby's Notes is in a hotel. That's
Okay.
the third one, I think. Might be the second one. That's the one with the text parser where you have to like tell him what to do.
Yeah, I played the whole series.
Mhm.
The first like 3 are bad.
Yeah, so I love adventure games, especially like that kind of adventure game. And they came out kind of before there were really a lot of indie games around. So I was willing to, some people are like, oh, it's just full of the things that he complains about in his reviews, and it's like, yeah, but he made a game by himself. Like, that's pretty cool.
Mm.
Yeah,
if I
but
remember
you had to
correctly-
shake a salty bear on a stick.
Okay, am I remembering correctly that the song that plays when the welder comes out is just Black Celebration by Depeche Mode in MIDI form?
I have no idea, honestly. The only thing I remember about the first 2 games was just how bad a time I had and how stupid the salty bear on a stick was.
Yeah.
Somebody's a salty bear on a stick. But one of those games takes place in outer space, and it is sort of a take on like Jason X or something, except it's much less silly. And when people are like, "Oh, Fear and Hunger in space," and then somebody else goes, "That would be so stupid," and I think like, no, actually, that could be really cool because space is inherently terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
Like you don't need to add a lot to space to make it the scariest thing ever. It's the same as the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
space is just an ocean except with long distance visibility.
And
I don't
more
know why
radiation.
it doesn't scare me.
The radiation isn't that much. You can just tank it.
guess-
That's
Like System
actually what
Shock.
they do. There's not like good radiation shielding on our spacecraft these days.
Reminds me of System Shock. But they do that all the time. There's radiation here, just tank it.
Wait,
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
System
Fucking
Shock
done
was
it,
like in
whatever.
space, and they're like, you know what? Let's go. What's the next scariest thing underwater? Let's do that.
Mm-hmm. And then they ruined it because Bioshock is bad.
That one
and
actually-
I'll never.
But no, they did Soma, no? Or am I wrong?
Soma's a different company. Soma
Never
is
mind, sorry.
terrifying. Soma is
Yeah, Soma is
A-
beautiful.
Soma's a walking
I-
simulator, a horror game underwater in a big underwater base.
Mhm.
Wait, Soma is
I
underwater?
remember hearing so many people praising the brilliance and cleverness and serious political blah blue of Bioshock and how deep and meaningful the gameplay choices are. And I played it, and it was a thoroughly mid first person shooter
Oh, it's so bad.
with like a middle school middle school level understanding of politics.
Yeah, and then the developers have been like, oh, we actually weren't, like Ken Levine has been like, oh, we weren't trying to be political. It's like, well, then why did you make the guy just quote Ayn Rand for 5 hours?
Right?
What
Like,
was
the
the
politics
point of
were
that?
so overtly stupid and ridiculous caricatures of people that I had to just laugh at it. It was genuinely funny to me.
But
Bioshock-
also,
Bioshock 1 and 2 are literally about communists and capitalists fighting over the city of Rapture. That's literally just what the game is about. How could it not
Yeah.
be political? Oh, I guess it's technically economics then. Maybe that's what he means. It's
oh yeah, no, we're making an economic statement. But the thing I hate about it is that so I had just completed Half-Life 1 and System Shock 2, and then I'm like, okay, I'm ready for BioShock. And I jump in, and it goes from these really complex games with amazing level design to these kind of square arenas where just the only enemies that are in the game just kind of run straight toward you.
Hmm.
And that's all they do.
Yeah.
And there's like no good variety. Like if you've played System Shock 2, there's crazy robots, there's little worms, there's
Mhm.
gigantic meat monsters.
And you're
You
also
never
given
know
a
what you're gonna-
variety of your own build to just counter that, which is really good.
Yeah. And I was, I played as the objectively correct the Navy run, so I was like not good at fighting any of these guys, and I was always running away and looking for a turret to hide behind, and it was pretty cool because like sometimes I would get like a rocket launcher that had like 2 rockets in it, and I'd be like, okay, what do I need to use this on to progress?
Mhm.
And compare that to the Bioshock where you just kind of stun stuff with your electric power and then you shoot it with your pistol and it just runs at you until it dies.
So you
One
said you
thing I
played
gotta say,
Half-Life
the
and then
end
System
game-
Shock. Was Half-Life the prequel to System Shock?
No, they're unrelated, but
Completely different.
Could
Yeah.
you imagine though?
I want to say something.
I
the
see. Are
end
you-
game of System. Oh.
It's a direct prequel to System Shock. Is Half-Life 2? It leads directly on. Makes
It
sense.
can be.
I can buy that.
well, I'm not sure because at the end of Half-Life the world is kind of destroyed.
Kinda, I guess.
Yeah, there's no like Zen, there's no 7-day war, there's no Combine.
Actually, we never see the Earth. Maybe all that stuff is going on down there, and that's why they
Yeah.
built the spaceship.
I wanted to say something about System Shock 2. The end game completely killed me. The first time I went through the end game of System Shock 2, where you go to that one planet or whatever the fuck
Mhm.
with the aliens, I just did not have HP, mana, ammo. It was the worst thing ever. I hated it.
Yeah,
All-
I mean, like a lot of
Everything else was
games,
amazing.
it kind of falls off toward the end.
It was so hard for no reason. But yeah, beautiful game other than that.
Part of it is that they trick you. They give you a really good sword made of crystal for like the mid game, and you'll spec into it and spend everything on it, and then you get to the end game and everything's immune to it.
Exactly.
Get
You need
owned.
to use the wrench. You need to use the wrench. Why?
Yeah, I think Bioshock 1 and 2 were just deep enough in mechanics, in story and what have you, to appeal to people in the AAA sphere, which is why it ended up blowing up.
Well, that's about the time that video games became like a normie activity.
What did they say? It was 2007 that started happening, right? When did Bioshock come out?
Right
think it was-
around then.
Yeah,
2007. There you go. Right on
that
the
was
money.
right after
Yeah,
Oblivion.
I guess if you're operating at the intellectual level of a child and have such low hand-eye coordination that you need like special tools to open, say, a cookie jar, which is to say you're a game journalist, then maybe Bioshock would really appeal to you. In the same way people go, oh, I'm 12 years old and this is the deepest thing I've ever said, except, I'm a game journalist and this is the deepest thing I've ever said.
Mm. Yeah.
It is interesting the way that kind of the more popular something is, then necessarily kind of the worse it has to be. And I don't mean
Yeah.
that like, oh, I'm not trying to be some hipster, but like there is a correlation between especially in video games, I think because the gameplay element adds so much friction that so many people are likely to be turned off of a product if it's too difficult or requires a lot of learning or isn't intuitive.
Yeah,
But-
definitely.
if you look at like the way that World of Warcraft evolved over time, it was a game that was very niche but got a big audience for some reason, and they spent the entire time that they were developing it just filing off, like post-release, they just spent time filing off every corner they could find.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to just make it this like featureless orb of just anybody can play this, and
Optimized to appeal to the center of the bell curve.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like that creates the least interesting product possible, but I don't know, it's so weird. It's so I'm not expecting like Fear and Hunger to become mainstream or anything, but I do kind of despair when people go to a game. I'm not sure how familiar any of you are with Cataclysm, which is a game I play a lot. It's a really complicated roguelike open world survival game where you can do pretty much anything, and it's the learning curve is a vertical wall. And people will frequently come to the game and say like, oh, well, this needs all these quality of life and ease of use features so that people can enjoy it. And it's like, well, I think those would take away from the things that are enjoyable about it in a lot of ways. Not every single suggestion, but like, you know, like
On
what
the
if
complete opposite end of the spectrum, I have to once again bring up La Mulana.
Yeah.
Ah, no!
Yeah.
Joe, please!
Because
I just forgot about it. No!
on every level of game design, puzzle design, lore, and music, the game is an absolute objective masterpiece.
Mhm.
But it is so ridiculously demanding of the player, requiring genuinely a significantly above average IQ to deal with some of these puzzles. They expect you to know how to do friggin' cryptography,
Mhm.
that it will never, ever achieve a mass market appeal despite being so good. And I think that's fascinating. If you want, it's just the best, one of my best examples of if you want your product to be successful, don't make it good.
Right. And there's a balance, of course, but I love that Long Milano's just there being what it is. Have you three picked up Void Stranger?
Oh,
No,
that sounds
what is
familiar.
I've had
So-
like 1,000 people recommend it to me. And it does
So-
seem exceptionally up my alley because from what they've seen, it's ridiculously brutal, punishing. Actual decisions have consequences.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah,
Hmm?
yeah. I
What
played
is
this a bit. I got
So-
bored.
So it does run the
mm.
risk of that because it spends so long just being one thing before it really shows its hand.
Oh, is it
So-
like what is it called? That card game. I forgot the name that I played. That I hated the
Inscription?
card game so much. Inscription. It's like Inscription.
It
in a
is
way?
it is like Inscription, yes.
God damn it.
And instead of a card game, what it's pretending to be is a tile-based puzzle game like you would find on the Game Boy, like the original Game Boy. You are a little tiny sprite girl, and you have a wand that can pick up a tile off the ground, and you can put it anywhere that there's not a tile. And enemies only move when you do, and the levels are really small, and it's just like a puzzle, like how do you get to the next level? But as you play, there are over 100 floors. I think there's... I actually don't know the exact number. But as you play, things start to happen that seem like they are little story beats, but they're actually like really interactive. There's I found like a lady on one floor, and I went to help her, and I accidentally shoved her off the cliff, and she apparently died, and I just had to like sit with that. Like that just... there was no way to undo that. And
I did that,
that wound up
yeah.
having an impact later. And
Yes, officer, accidentally shoved her off the cliff.
Accidentally.
and then the game does this beautiful thing where it starts to dip into other genres and have whole other graphical styles and gameplay things. And I don't want to spoil too much of it, but I think it doesn't... it's not as like ridiculous as La Mulana in terms of what it expects you to do as a puzzle solver, but some of it is pretty up there. And I think if you're a La Mulana fan or even a La Mulana liker, then Void Stranger plays better and has great music and graphics, and even on like a casual playthrough, I think that the basic game is pretty enjoyable for $10 or whatever, even if you don't get through to the crazy boss fights and stuff.
Jones, you played Lava Land, right, from beginning to end?
Not from beginning to end. I was having a real tough time in the Twin Labyrinth.
Do you
I also
think that
wonder-
you enjoy your game? I wonder.
Yeah, I enjoyed Lamalana.
Okay.
I also wonder, to what extent do they expect players to play these games by themselves?
Mm.
Because when I was a kid, we had a Nintendo, and there was this game called Legacy of the Wizard, and this game, I think I would compare it to like an early La Mulana. You are, you begin the game in like a house, and you have a cursor, and there are, I think, 5 family members. There's the father, the mother, the son, the daughter, and then like their pet monster. And
Oh, yeah, I know this
you
game.
just pick one of them. There's no text. You just choose one of them, and then you go outside, and it's like a little side-scrolling area, and there's no text. There's nothing. And then there's like a well, and if you jump down the well, you go into this huge, absolutely enormous dungeon. I'm going to see if I can find a world map of it real fast, because the graphic would be fun to show here. Legacy of the Wizard map. And, oh yeah, this is beautiful. So I'm going to paste this in the chat real fast.
Surely.
Somewhere. There it is. And so these areas all have completely unexplained puzzles in them. And you don't even know that you have tools to solve the puzzles because you have to find them. And the way that you find them is that the little dog, like the family pet, is a monster, so the monsters in the dungeon don't attack it. So you send it in there, and it goes on this totally circuitous path, and it finds an item, and then it comes back home, and then it's like a glove that the dad can use to break certain blocks. And then you go in with the dad, and he can find like I think there's like shoes that the daughter can wear that make her jump really high. And you're doing all this stuff, and so we would sit around like hand drawing maps and talking about areas we'd seen that we should go back to, and like maybe there was a secret over here, and there was no internet to go on. There was no wiki. I guess you could call the Nintendo Power Hotline if you.
We should bring them back. Tip hotlines.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that experience is in a big way gone from gaming, because you can't, like, every developer has to account for the fact that you're just going to go online the first time you get into trouble.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know how you'd get around that. Unless you want to do like fully random puzzles or something and just make all.
So what is that again? Can you say that again? What was that? What is this whole thing? I'm just looking.
The video
at
game
everything.
is called Legacy of the Wizard. And so I was telling people who, in the Fear and Hunger Discord, new players would join, and they would be like, hey, I just picked up the game. Like, what character should I play? What should I do? And it's like, just don't look at anything. Just go blind and go in blind and, play it until you get like really stuck or something, because there's such a weird magic in just, I think a friend was telling me that it's probably Minecraft that's to blame for this, where the mechanics were so obtuse that you had to use a wiki.
Yeah, they didn't even have like a recipe book for ages in game.
Yeah.
To me, I always
you have to use it, and it's like, okay,
just
look it up.
Yeah. To have the best experience for me, I always recommend people to play Dan. That's it. I think it's the best for beginners.
I just picked Olivia because she was pretty, and I was like, hey, she's in a wheelchair. I bet that makes the game really scary because she can't get away from the monsters as well. And I was correct. It was really,
yeah.
It was really interesting seeing how that, and there was no running when I played.
Yeah, that's right. It was only
Which
added
didn't help,
a couple months later, wasn't it?
I think the game was better without running. I'm just gonna say it.
Same.
It was
I
designed
want
for
a mode where you cannot run, but there's still enemies that run. I want that too, I think.
That mod is called pulling the shift key off of your keyboard.
I guess so. Or losing a leg if you think about it.
Yeah.
But
And
that's a
Olivia's still-
situation where people were like, "Oh, I want to be able to run because, I want."
Because there's so much backtracking through
So
empty
that is
rooms.
an issue. I would have made it so that if you had cleared a room, then you could run through it or something.
Oh yeah.
I would have simply made all of the rooms much, much smaller and the content much more dense.
Yeah. It's a hard thing to change. I think that's the reason why he was happy to add running back in, because it's not a situation like Dash where Dash just breaks the game. The game isn't built for it, and it's just objectively better in every single way. But in the second game, it's like, well, there is a lot of backtracking on purpose, and the city is huge, so there does need to be a way to get around it.
There's a blood portal. You could get blood portal. How come nobody gets blood portal?
Because they'd rather get good abilities.
God of Your Hunger exists, that's why. God of Your Hunger exists. I never used Blood Portal, even without the speed thing, like the running thing.
People trip on the like, oh, I don't want to save because I'll have to progress time. It's like you get 9 saves and it's like a 10-hour game.
Yeah.
I guess so, but the thing to me is that if I want to save and I'm doing something important, I cannot save in, back into Preheal Buff or whatever. When I'm gonna be retrying the rare fight over and over again, I'm gonna be saving in next to rare and next to the ending A.
So for me, what I did was I started playing the game and I realized it was very difficult. I started with Termina and I thought, well, okay, this is clearly a game where you need to learn things to do better next time. So I'm not going to worry about my saves, like wasting my saves, because this is just like my learning run. Like I know I'm going to get to a point where I just can't progress because I haven't like powered up enough and I've lost too many limbs or something. So I did that, and then I figured out like, oh, the mayor's house is probably like a good place for your first save. If you can get that far, then you have, you don't have to redo the whole first area again. And then, from there I kind of chipped away until I figured out like, oh, like once you get an effigy, you can probably save.
Yeah, to me the always rule that I always got it for like my 11 playthrough I did at the start of the game was complete Old Town, then go back to the train and save. That's it. Then wake up and try to deal with the 3 characters, Marco, Marina, and Olivia. As soon as you wake up. That's it.
I did the worst route for getting characters on my first playthrough. I
Because?
inadvertently saved Henrik, and and then I was like, when I found Levi, I was like, oh my god, thank God I got a character. And then he's like addicted to heroin.
It's like, God, no, you can hide back.
I remember watching my friend laugh and play, and the first thing she does, by sheer chance, is she goes and fights and kills Henrik. And it's like, oh, you've just soft-locked the game now. You literally can't get into the thing now unless you get a Venushka skin Bible and chalk. And she didn't. It's like, okay, GG. Restart.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Good game.
Yeah, Miro needs to do something about all the soft locks.
Yeah.
I wish I kind of understand his desire to just make new content, but it would be nice to see a fixed pass on both games. I think probably just like read an email from Frappolo about all the bugs that need to be fixed.
Well, he sent a massive bug list,
sadly.
And send so
he doesn't focus on Termina.
They're not bugs, they're lore.
The thing about it is that Frappolo focuses on one.
That should just be a sound clip. That line that.
Yeah, the bug fixes from Frappolo in the first game are amazing. They need some twitching like here and there. But second game he doesn't have the interest for bug fixing at the moment. Maybe in the future we have some bug fixing from Frappolo. But since the game is already like still being done, I'm guessing he doesn't want to touch it that much.
Yeah.
All I can think of, to be honest. I can submit one, but like there's so many things to get from like 500 hours of playing the game. I'm used to them,
Something-
honestly. Like John said, they're features to me.
Something I'm curious about is the area design in the new areas that are being developed. Is Miro going to go back to more compact area design that is more interconnected rather than these big sprawling areas?
It kind of feels like it is from the very few screenshots we've seen. Everything has been very tight.
Yeah.
Really? I got the
Who's
opposite
connected?
impression.
It looks
The,
really open, but when you actually carefully look at where you can run around, they're pretty small.
There is a boat, so I'm guessing there will be a teleport system that will get you around.
Oh, that'd be nice.
You'll be able to use the boat, one of the boats near the dock, to get to the fishing village. But I think it'll just be a teleport, and then that's it. That's the only place you'll be able
It can't be
get to.
just that place and that's it. There has to be some connectivity to it.
Have you
Or maybe
have
it
you all
can drop you
noticed-
into a lame area like Dark Souls 3 style where it drops you into like, the ice place.
Raccoon, are you
What's
still
that?
on spoiler embargo for the previews for the new content?
Yeah, but I can mute myself if you want. Do you want me to
Well,
silence myself?
there's a song title that I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Song title. You can
If
tell me.
chat
I want to know this.
So there's a song title
Song
that
title.
for the new content that is called The Scaleless Servant,
Huh.
and it makes me wonder if we're going to learn more about the Blight connection.
Oh no. No, I know what's happening here. Oh, I know what that's about. Oh no.
What is it about?
Hmm?
Seath?
It's about Seath.
It's about what?
Seath the Scaleless.
Hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're
right.
writing Fear and Hunger into the Kingdom Hearts timeline.
Oh no!
That makes sense.
It's about time. Let's go, bros. Confirmed.
All I can expect is a way for me to not require to walk around like John said. Because I'm used to walking, but I wish more people would be more into the idea of just going through the level without
You
being
could
forced to use the teleport.
you can step on a bear trap and then you don't have to walk anywhere.
Makes sense, yeah.
Look, there's
Yeah,
not going
I
to
hate
be.
right?
backtracking over old areas so much. I spent like 8 hours breeding the fastest horse in Palworld.
Maya, you're doing that all the time. Like when I see you, it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, look, no matter what. So originally, Miro said he made some minor changes that were lost when his laptop exploded. But just recently, he said on Twitter that everything that was lost has now been recreated. That being said, there was never planned to be big changes to the old areas. Any changes were always said to be really minor, so I wouldn't expect massive changes to the old areas. It's going to be pretty much the same. So,
But a connection that will help. I think that will be nice. Like the map of, I don't know if it's called. I think it's from Regio Bob. Like the map doesn't really fit that well with the area.
You know what he needs to do? He needs to go back to the old areas and add in like more rooms that are just long, empty hallways with nothing in them. Make backtracking take 2 to 3 times as long to balance out giving everyone dash.
I agree. Yeah, I completely agree. And add way more enemies that don't drop anything. So you think there's something?
You know what
in
I
there?
want?
No. They drop their head, so you have to go through the long cutting their head off animation. But they're also really weak, so there's just like thousands of things that you have to do.
I do
You
think
know what
that
I
all of the
want?
little dogs and stuff should not have dropped heads in the game, and they should have just the
Just stay
pieces.
dead.
Yeah, and they could have just made the
Headless house type kind of.
like the you could like obviously that would change the balance of the game, but then you could just make the payout for the heads you do get higher because the
I wanted
orphanage is a
something.
nightmare.
I
Yeah,
actually
I
wanted
could go
something
with
from the
cutting out
running.
2/3 of the enemies and making each head worth 1 soulstone.
Yeah.
When the running was introduced, I wanted to make it so that when you run, you were forced into that trail of distance that you're running. Like you run forward, like to the east, you run into the east until you hit something or until you get end up without energy.
That
You
sounds
cannot
terrible.
have the movement take. Kind of like the blight from Dead by Daylight.
No, no. Okay. Let's work with this. If you have the meat grinder, then you are locked in that. But then when you hit something, you get a free attack.
That would be nice. That would be nice. And that would be a change to Engard, making it faster because no one uses Engard.
I
With
think
a running
honestly,
thing right now.
in Termina, I think Engage should probably just be scrapped. I think you could just completely scrap it. No, don't even bother fixing it. Just get rid of it because it's useless now.
Is it? Yeah.
But you mentioned
No,
Dark
what they
Souls.
should do is bring back the old style on guard, then give it to Marco.
Just
I like he
give him
throws
every
punches.
strong ability in the game.
He needs leg sweep.
Yeah, and give him
He
leg
like
sweep.
runs
Yeah,
like
bring it
leg
back.
sweeping left and right.
There should be like Master Miyagi who teaches him leg sweep.
If
You should make it so that instead of getting lock picking, he gets leg sweep, and his backstory changes using leg sweep to kick open doors.
yeah,
He
that actually works.
He leg
What the hell?
sweeped over the door.
when he confronted the mob captain in the club, he leg sweeped him, and that killed him. And then he
Broke both his legs and he fell down.
Yeah, he
He
escaped
got away
the
with leg
club
sweeping
by
the door.
leg sweeping all the guards, and then he. It would be so funny if Kaiser had leg sweep and he just used it on turn 1.
He does have leg sweep and he does use it.
He does have leg
He
sweep.
does
Yeah.
have leg sweep. Yep.
And he
does
uses
have
it
Oh
a
my
lot.
god! So every single time I fight him, the sword just goes immediately. Like turn 1, the sword gets destroyed. So
I focus on the asterisk instead of the sword.
I don't
should
know
probably
why
do
the
that,
leg
'cause it
sweep
pumps out damage.
goes.
yeah.
Asterisk doesn't do anything. I think a lot of people say that actually.
Asterisk prevents you
does
from having
30
double
damage.
turns. So
Yeah, but it's only that thing that does that, and that's it.
yeah, that's why I usually try and take it out first so I can actually have double turns again. But the sword just deals crazy damage. But it would be so
the sword is the
funny
issue.
if Miro re-added leg sweep and then gave it to Marco again. I would laugh and laugh and laugh because that's just another bit of evidence for tank domination.
Let's break the game again, pretty much.
People are so wildly resistant to the Tainted One theory. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
they are. They hate that it's. I say that it's DAS, but that they're two.
And I
They're
don't
two
know why,
theories. So
because there's no outcome for Darce that is good.
No.
There's no possible way that like any of the Fear and Hunger 1 endings don't go well for Darce.
Mm.
Like either Lagarde becomes a god and she goes home and just lives without him, which is not good for her because she's in love with him, or she becomes a god and is miserable because that's how new gods are, or she dies, or she goes crazy in like a Lovecraft way and
Yeah.
has a meat monster.
I mean, it's fine. Nothing wrong with a meat monster.
Well, I mean that's what she
I'm into
says.
that.
That's what she says in her ending. She's like, well, maybe this is better. Maybe now that he's a meat monster, nobody else will be competing for him.
Cope's so strong it fueled the Industrial Revolution. But
It is absolute like yeah. But it is like the world's most powerful fem cell.
Samurai's got nothing on Das.
It's just simping too hard.
I never thought about the Samurai Darce connection.
Yeah. Both fem cells.
Imagine if Darce had been in love with Enki instead of or Nostramus.
Oh man, that would have just been 10 times worse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, she would literally be every Tumblr fangirl.
I love. So in my mind, Enki looks like Riff Raff from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That's
And then
uncanny.
every time I go online, people are like drawing this like beautiful boy, and it's like that. Like, have you seen his hairline in the art?
Yeah, he does look exactly like Riff Raff, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
I just looked it up. That's almost 1-to-1.
Yeah, that's
I'll never
uncanny.
get over the fact that he's like 26.
Yeah, what's the go with that?
Well, I think it's proof that the bug backstory is true.
Oh,
That he didn't kill his sister. He lived in a well and ate bugs for 12 years, and
that would do it. He's a bug cell.
yeah, he's bug pilled. He's pill bugged.
Worm pilled, bug cell, insect maxing.
Yeah.
He's a bug pilled depth score. Oh my god, I can't even bring myself to finish that.
Mm. So what are you working on next, Wormgirl? If you can talk about it.
Yeah, so I brought up that game, The Wooden Ocean. I can throw out a link to it.
So that's going to be your next video.
That's going to be my next big video, yeah. And then after that, I'm going to do like a couple of retrospectives on some older games, and then I need to probably find another one of those like lightning in a bottle indie games that nobody knows about until like the split second I make a video about it, and then I get famous.
Well, let us know too, and we'll all jump on it, and we'll pump it together. We'll pump and dump indie games. And
Yeah.
do you think
Okay,
YouTube
well, let's look
would
at
do that?
Ocean.
Try and
Indie
pump and
games.
dump indie
Steam
games?
Marketplace right now.
Like try and make games popular just so they've got a whole bunch of videos lined up about it. Do you think that actually happens?
Oh boy, I wonder. People are definitely doing the most like mercenary things imaginable, I'm sure, but it doesn't resonate for I think unless it's genuine. Like, I think the reason that that people like our Fear and Hunger content is that we really like the games, and the games are really actually good. you
Yeah.
know? So if I
wonder if it's different for something that's easier to get into, like analog horror. And I'm not making any accusations here, but I do see a lot of analog horror content creators will all pick up the same series at the same time, or they'll dunk on the same series at the same time. And it could just be that that's just what's trending and everybody just latches onto what's trending. But I do wonder if sometimes people are like, let's just pump this thing. 'Cause why not? Because you can make it look good, even if it's
well,
junk.
it's so hard because, like, do you like, for example, a lot of people have been like, "Oh, you should do Signalis," and I think I could do a good Signalis video, and I do want to, but it was also like the game for a little bit for this kind of content, and so do you do the popular thing because there's an audience for it, or do you try to kind of break new ground? And a single like long form video like that is such a huge time investment, and you never know if the payout is going to be, because this is my job, and if I'm spending 100 200 hours on a video, is it gonna pay my rent in exchange for that time I spent? And so that's always a worry, but
it is something you got to be mindful of, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was watching an interview with, it was Matt Pat, I'm pretty sure. And the interviewer asked him how he balances, doing more experimental videos or doing other stuff. And he said, in general, their rule of thumb is do one for your current audience, do one for the algorithm, basically the new audience, and then do one for yourself. One for the algo, one for the audience, one for me, he said.
Oh, I've been doing it just for me, to be honest. Never follow the algo. I love my videos.
I think for like smaller creators, like I like it kind of are punching weight. I think a lot of our audience is here for us more than they are for the specific games that we're looking at, and I think trying to game the algorithm at Matt Pat's level is probably extremely successful. But I think at our level, we are probably going to get more mileage out of doing something that is genuine, because the audience can feel that, and they can connect with that. And the nice thing about being a smaller content creator is that you have a deeper level of engagement with your audience it's
But
it's
not
less
a deeper engagement with their deep pockets.
Hey, I'm trying to take ad money, not where's those VPN services? I'll engage with those guys' pockets.
Yeah, where's my advertising with what's that dumb game everyone advertises with?
Raid Shadow Legends.
Raid Shadow. I tried playing that, and look, I'm just going to say it now. If they
Oh,
try and advertise
Frapolo
with me, I'm going to burn this
got,
bridge before
advertise-
they even try and build it. I'm not going to do it. It's a
Frapolo got-
dog shit game. I'm sorry, dog shit game.
Yeah, Frapolo got the thing, the advertisement in
Oh,
one of
did
his
he?
videos.
Oh,
Yeah, he
we'll take
actually
it back
did.
then. I don't want to burn his bridge too. It's actually a really good game. Yeah.
Raid Shadow Legends. If you're listening, call me.
I wouldn't accept it. I like my own
I will
content.
do a savage takedown of Mao's wrong opinion about Raid Shadow Legends, which is a good game. No, I wouldn't advertise something that I wouldn't at least
Like enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't advertise something where I was like lying to my viewers.
yeah. Yeah.
I might be like,
At least give
I'm
it a
not
go.
using.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved. I know Internet Historian had a recent controversy, and I hope he gets that sorted out in a positive way. But he did a Raid Shadow Legends promotional stream that is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Oh, really?
He has this like. If you've watched his videos, he has this really stupid animation style that's like he's using stock photos and like animating them. And he made a character called Raid Man who looks like a medieval executioner, but like made out of stock photo assets. And he was using that character in his ads for Raid. And then when he got contacted to do a promotional stream for them, he made a VTuber of this character. And it looked so stupid.
That sounds great.
Another
really
person
well
that actually sells really well Raid Shadow Legends, I think, is Jontron.
Yeah, he does.
He like makes a really good skit of ads whenever he does.
His
You-
ads
you
for Raid
forget that
cost
he's
more than
making
most
it.
people's regular videos do to make, so they'd want to be good
Yeah.
ads.
Yeah.
I
Same with Icarus, I would say.
and I'm not a
Same guy.
I'm sort of anti-gotcha. I think I wouldn't advertise a gotcha specifically. But
So you're a gotchist.
yeah, I'm even if like people are like, oh, like Limbus Company is good and you don't need to use the gotcha elements, and it's like, well, they didn't need to be there.
It is actually
Yeah,
really
they could've-
generous for a gacha game, Limbus. But yeah, they are there to take as much money as humanly possible. That's what gacha exists for.
And it's like anything that you can't have those elements in a game and not have some part of the game replaced with spending money.
Mm.
And it's like you can look at Black Desert Online for an example of
Oh
like
my
an
god.
extreme example of how that gets, where if you're not spending any money, you're stuck in an eternal grind and you're not getting anywhere. And if you are spending money, you skip all of the content and have nothing to do.
Well,
And so the greed has cut out all of the gameplay.
Mm.
And so there's, because normally if you go back to like the subscription model of online games, you were paying to play the game and they were giving you content that had sort of a slow progression so that you'd play more, like RuneScape. And I think that's perfectly fine.
Mm. Yeah. All right. I think we'll wrap up here for today. Any parting words? Anybody before we finish?
yes. I
Yeah.
was talking with Frabo's viewers about something important,
Hmm.
which is we all think that League of Legends is a gacha game based on what teammates you get when you're playing. Is that true?
No.
No, I don't think it is.
Not unless you can pay to have better teammates.
Can I
Could you
pay to have
imagine?
a diamond in my team? I think you
Oh
can
my
actually
god,
do
they
that.
would make so much money if they actually implemented that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you can
It could be a
pay.
gacha.
You can. It's against terms of service, but you could buy an account that had a higher ladder ranking.
But then you're paying your own gacha, right? You gotta
Yeah.
play
And
for
then-
the gacha.
Yeah. They will ban you, and so don't do that. But
Yeah.
also don't play League. But
No.
What were you going to say, Bones?
Oh yeah, I do want to comment that this was a rather interesting first hour of the podcast. Because I've seen like 6 movies and 10 episodes of SpongeBob.
That's right. Bones just doesn't have.
Oh.
He's never had a television in his life, so he's never watched anything. He doesn't even have a computer
Really,
screen.
no. Oh, we actually were supposed to talk about viewer submissions, by the way.
Oh yeah, we didn't answer a single question
Can you
this
like
time.
read one and then
Okay,
go
do
on
one
this
real
and
quick
then
so we
end the
can technically
episode?
have it be that.
All right, sure.
Okay,
Sure.
here's a theory. Lagarde is not actually the chosen one. The prophecy was made up by Nilvan and or Sylvian to help her create the god of fear and hunger.
I think that's plausible. Yeah.
That's basically confirmed. Because
I
Lagarde
think
said
that's like,
he didn't make up he's just using it. So
yeah. So I think if you're, because Nilvan is revealed to just be a person, so I think at like a surface level read of the story, that's what you get and what you're intended to get, and then you're left to wonder like, okay, can Nilvan see the future? Is Lagarde an Almer clone? Was some greater cosmic force at work here? Was he actually chosen by something and the new gods were just co-opting it, or is it fake?
there's been another point in the Lagarde as an Ormia clone theory, by the way, really quick. You know how Venushka is described as being a seed inside of Sylvian for eons before being born? Ormir is described as being a seed of his father for eons as well.
Interesting. But where was he born from? Like, how did they make him? Where did he come from?
Yeah, and that's sort of the weird thing is that like he's, that means he's sort of the opposite of Venushka, right? Where he was inside of it's implying he was inside of Grogroth, whereas Venushka was inside of Sylvian for a while before they emerged. Which is why he's more violent, I guess.
Going back to Berserk.
Oh no.
Guts is born in Berserk from a dead woman who has been hanged. And these mercenaries are passing by this tree of like hanged criminals or something. And somebody discovers like a baby underneath one of the dead people who has like fallen out of the corpse. And I wonder if that was, not saying that's what happened to Lagarde, but that would be the most Grogoroth possible way to be born, especially because hanged corpses are specifically referenced.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Also, there are spells that are creating life out of corpses in the game.
Yeah, it actually says, I was looking it up, and it said that that's the most fertile ground possible is a corpse.
And the fact that we're shown all of this like cloning technology and different ways to artificially create life, like that's not in there for no, like that's not random. You know, it's a major theme, and so I think there's some obvious thing that we're just not, it's not quite clicking.
Yeah, I feel like we'll probably get a lot more answers in the third game. I was gonna one question I wanted to ask Miro if I ever did an interview with him was that does he have like one big document where if he dies it gets released and we can actually find out the lore? He says he doesn't, and he said on Twitter the other day he doesn't have one. He's thinking of writing one though. And then I was gonna retweet him like with a picture of me like holding a gun or something, and I'm like I probably shouldn't threaten to kill Miro on Twitter. So.
Well, the Dwarf Fortress developer has has made a statement that if he dies before completing Dwarf Fortress, the source code will be released. There's a clause in it that says if he's murdered, that won't happen.
Smart. There you go.
Wisdom.
He really did think of everything.
All right. Thank you very much for coming in, Wormgirl. Always a pleasure to have you, and thank you guys for coming in too. I'll see you
Thanks
next
for
week.
having me. See you around.
Bye.